Now, today could be a very important day for firefighters in the northern part of the state as they continue to battle two big wildfires. Matt is keeping track of all the new developments. Let's go to him now for more. Hey, Matt.
Elizabeth, once again, all eyes are going to be on the weather dealing with these fires because if the winds change, more than 100 homes could be in some big trouble. So let's start with the Thompson Ridge fire. It's now burned at least 7,400 acres and is just 5% contained, but that could change later today because the largest firefighting air tanker should be back in the skies in just a few hours. It is this. It's called Tanker 911, an old DC-10 jumbo jet. As you can see, it can drop up to 12,000 gallons of water or retardant on the fire at a time. Here it is fighting the Little Bear fire here in New Mexico from last year. It made one drop on the Thompson fire yesterday, and again, it should make at least one more today. Helicopters are also fighting that fire. As a result, Fenton Lake State Park is closed, so those choppers can go pick up the water. Now, near there, firefighters are still trying to keep the Tres Lagunas fire, about 10 miles north of Pecos, from reaching more than 100 homes, some of them just about 3 miles from the flames. This is some time-lapse video of the smoke from this weekend, courtesy of KRQE News 13 photographer Terrence Seaman. Now, the Tres Lagunas fire has grown to about 9,000 acres. It is now 15% contained, and because of this fire, the Pecos, Las Vegas Ranger School District of the Santa Fe National Forest is now closed. Smoke from both the Tres Lagunas and Thompson Ridge fires could blow into Santa Fe, Los Alamos, Las Vegas, and Jemez Springs again today. If it bothers you, please stay indoors.
And you know, yesterday the winds weren't too bad for the firefighters, but the big question is that going to change?
Well, the winds aren't going to go up too much today. We do have the front moving through that's going to change the direction of the winds across much of eastern and central New Mexico. And so up near the Tres Lagunas fire, up near Pecos, we are going to see that wind change, but not really until we get closer to 5 o'clock. Most of the day, we're still going to see that south-southwest wind at about 15 to 20 miles an hour. And we're also going to see a little more cloud cover moving in. Now, as that front gets closer, the winds are going to change to become more easterly, so coming from the east, 15 to 20 mile an hour winds, so not too bad there. Humidity will go up to about 24%, and we'll even get the chance for maybe showers and a few thunderstorms, and the humidity actually could continue to rise through the overnight hours. Thompson Ridge fire here, just because you're so far west in the Jemez Mountains, we're going to have a tough time here really getting the easterly winds to move in. So for most of the day, we're going to see south-southwest winds at about 10 to 15 miles an hour, gradually a little more cloud cover topping out in the low 80s, and then we could get a little more moisture moving in there this evening. But the easterly wind, probably that front's going to get stopped or stall before it gets to the Jemez Mountains, so that could prevent it from becoming easterly, which could be a little bit of good news for the Thompson Ridge fire.
Thank you, Kristen. As we've told you, firefighters think those two big fires started when trees fell on power lines. Now people who live near Pecos are speaking out about how close the power lines are to the trees. Take a look. Right now, the rules say the lines have to be at least 10 feet away from the trees, and the ones near Pecos where the fire started were. But one state public regulation commissioner says that buffer zone may simply have to be bigger.
I think that, if we take action now, we can prevent more fires, and rather than react, we can be proactive in hopes that we can all work together, including the residents.
Valerie Espinosa there plans to bring up the power line issue at the next PRC meeting. Make sure you stay with KRQE News 13 for the very latest on these wildfires. We'll always have it here on air and anytime at krqe.com. Elizabeth.
We are expecting to learn more about a shooting involving an FBI agent and 2 suspects in southwest Albuquerque in a neighborhood there. It happened near Unser and Sage yesterday during a joint drug-related operation involving APD and the FBI. The FBI says their agent fired at least 2 shots at 2 suspects in a vehicle who posed a, quote, imminent threat. Now, it is unclear if the vehicle was hit, although the bullets did hit a home. Nobody was hurt. One suspect was taken into custody. Law enforcement is still looking for the other suspect. The FBI is not saying what threat the agent was facing.
I'm not in a position to discuss that at this point. We're still conducting the investigation.
Was it another weapon?
I'm not in a position to discuss that at this time.
The FBI says it appears the agent's actions were justified at this point.
The man police say badly beat 2 people, threw one of them, a woman, into the Rio Grande, is still in jail this morning. Police say neighbors on Hendricks Northeast here near Montgomery and Carlisle heard screams yesterday morning and saw someone loading 2 people into the trunk of a car. 10 minutes later, other witnesses told police they saw a man pull someone from a trunk on Central on this bridge over the river and then throw one person into the river. When police got there, they found an older man on top of the bridge, badly beaten, and the woman in the river. She was rescued. A little later, officers caught up with this man, Martin Montano, and arrested him.
Somebody took it upon themselves to continue following him because obviously what they had seen was pretty traumatic, and they wanted to make sure that police were able to catch up with the individual.
Police think Montano knew the two people, but they are not saying how. The Sierra County Sheriff, who is at the center of a controversy about getting paid while not doing his job, is supposed to get back to work today. Sheriff Joe Baca has been training with the National Guard in Missouri all this year and not leading his deputies in Sierra County. But back in February, Larry Barker discovered the sheriff was still getting paid by the county, even though he was hundreds of miles away. So Larry went to Missouri and asked Sheriff Baca about this, and the sheriff promised Larry he'd stop collecting a county paycheck and pay the money back that he already got. We haven't heard if that has actually happened.
Well, one high school in Sandoval County is a bit safer this morning.
It's after police and sheriff's deputies prepared for the worst case scenario. That is someone with a gun running wild in a school. We hope to never actually see this. Before Columbine, SWAT teams were trained to surround a school if there was a shooter inside. Now they're supposed to go directly to the shooter, which is exactly what they practiced doing at Bernalillo High School yesterday.
That's the whole idea here, is to be aware of what we could possibly be thrown into and to make sure that we can handle it when we are thrown into it.
Police and sheriff's deputies in Sandoval County are now trained in what is considered the national standard when it comes to responding to school shootings.
And parents, listen up. There is now another way to help keep your little ones even safer. The city of Albuquerque is unveiling a new system that will help you create records for your kids in case of an emergency. Starting today, Operation Kid Safe will feature 3 new fingerprint station locations at all Mark's Casa Auto Group stores in Duke City. The stations will provide a way for parents to create records for their child, which can be used during an emergency. The records can be handed to police if the child ever goes missing.